Happy Thanksgiving, everybody! Yes, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday. You'd think it might be a day like Halloween, but no, it's not. I do like Halloween though. Anyway, tonight we're going to. I may not be here. A lot. My daughter's not feeling too great, but we're going to discuss a couple of classic films, including one that is 100 years old. Well, I'm like thinking to myself, it came out March 8th or March 3rd, 1922, and I'm like, why didn't we do this back in March? And that's because I think I had Batman on the brain back then because the Batman came out around the same time, which is weird. 100 years apart, you got a Dracula movie and a Batman movie, kind of cool. But yeah, Nosferatu. If you couldn't guess what we're talking about, and we're gonna touch on the Werner Herzog, the Klaus Kinski, wow, version, and as in the title, we will try to get to Shadow of the Vampire. Um, right off the top, I'll tell you straight up because I don't know how long I'm going to be here, and I'm sorry that we're not on time. We were lollygagging. Anyway, I'm not a big fan, apparently, of silent films. I watched this again the other day, and I appreciate what it means to horror, and I respect it, and I saw some good things in it. It's just my mind wanders too much, and I couldn't pay that much attention. And I've seen the Klaus Kinski version, as most people call it, but I saw it 3 years ago, and I don't remember it all that much. So I started watching it again. Then my daughter started throwing up. So not because of the movie, but anyway, I know that Jared is a huge fan of Nosferatu. That's why I'm bringing you on first, because you've been wanting to talk about this one since we started the Horror Syndicate. So here we are, 6 years later. I finally listened.
We finally come around.
I've finally come around. Well, to letting you talk about it, letting you, because I'm kicking the other guys out, and it's just you tonight.
Sweet.
So what?
There'll
What
be
do you
a
think,
lot of
man?
there'll be a lot of crickets.
Yeah. What do you think? Why is this one of your all-time favorites? You put it in the Horror Syndicate's Hall of Fame, which we need to bring back, by the way.
I did. I was going to
Yeah.
mention that. Yeah, um, it's just one of those movies. We have a timeline that, as horror fans that we know of, there is the universal horror genre that starts in 1931 and
Hmm.
kind of goes from there. But everything before that gets forgotten.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
true.
there are a couple of vampire movies that are silent that get
Have.
forgotten.
Sorry. Go ahead.
But
There's this is probably the most well known of anything that comes before Dracula from 31.
yes. Oh, for sure. And I may be a fanboy for this movie. I may gloat over it and I may be very biased by it. I mean, it's still a silent film, but people, I
Indeed.
guess, I guess from the generation after ours and the generation after ours, nobody appreciates silent films anymore. So,
I'm part of that because I've watched two in the last 2 weeks or whatever, and I just my attention span sucks. I guess when it comes to that.
and that may be, OCD,
Frankenstein. Have you seen the Frankenstein from around 1911?
no, but I have it on my eBay list.
Ah,
1910, 1911, I think.
1910.
I think we
Well,
talked about it a couple episodes back.
I know Nathan really loves silent film. He loves all film, though, don't you, Nate?
If it's a film I'm watching, yeah. Yeah, the
So,
one you're talking about, Frankenstein, it's the Thomas Edison one, right? I don't know if he made it or I don't. I always know his name was thrown around on it.
what about
Uh,
Sledgehammer? Like the Peter Gabriel song? It's a good one.
love Peter Gabriel.
Is that a movie? I've never heard of Sledgehammer. Hi, Seth.
Hello.
Seth is being a part of the silent movement today. Um, Speaking of movements, I'm going to have to make one soon.
Yeah, we're just going to do the whole episode in visuals.
Yeah, we should have made up cards for for everything. All right,
Yeah,
so
really good.
Jared was talking about how most films pre Universal Dracula are very unappreciated, especially horror. And as time goes on, to Jared's point, is they're going to get more and more lost in the shuffle because, for me, it's attention span. I like I said, I appreciate Nosferatu. It does have some striking visuals, but like it's actually the score that I watched. Mine and Jared, you have that same Blu-ray I have. The score is quite good for that movie, or whatever the music, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's the actual score, but I don't know, man. Waiting around for Count Orlok was like part of the problem, I think, for me.
He didn't show up for 21 minutes.
Yeah, I know. And then he was very like a little mousy guy, like staying in the castle that they filmed in. Like he's in that archway and he's just standing there kind of like this. So I'm like, well, he doesn't look very imposing. Yeah. But,
apparently, one of the castles, they shot at 2 castles. Apparently, one of them was Elizabeth Bathory's castle.
Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know they shot an actual location, which is really cool because I know Murnau was big on location shooting.
I found a video, and like almost all those locations look exactly, they're still there. Like,
yeah.
They're all pretty intact, except for the street where all the coffins are coming down during the plague. That street's been completely like redone, but
all right,
because of World War II, all the bombings and shit.
So Mike Davis, who's new to the show, thanks for watching, man. He says we need to check out. It's an old horror movie called Sledgehammer.
What is Sledgehammer?
Yeah. Let's find out.
That was a detective show with a guy that played Max Headroom. I think.
Oh, from the 80s?
I believe so.
Yeah, an action sitcom, yeah.
No.
I don't think that's what he's talking about, but yeah, 86, 88.
Yeah, I have no knowledge of Sledgehammer or silent film.
There's a movie called Sledgehammer from 1983. I don't know if that's the one he's talking about.
Yeah, there was in the 80s. There's a slasher movie or some shit.
I was gonna say if it's a slasher one, that might be what he's talking about.
Yeah, it might be what he's talking about. But yeah, we'll watch this. But anything, especially if it's something we'd all never seen, we need to get back to doing those shows, which are fun. Anyway, let's get into the conversation a bit. I'm gonna go check on Helena in a minute. And Jared's checking on her for me, I guess. Seth,
No, I'm just muting my audio or video.
Okay. Seth?
What's up?
He said no.
As soon as I ask you something, you turn your head like, no, I didn't do shit. No, did you get a chance to watch Nosferatu, any of them? The Vampyre?
Title card.
There you go.
Awesome.
Apparently,
nice.
there's a version with Typo Negative doing a score. You were talking about music.
I'd love to see that. I love Typo Negative.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be the shit, man. That'd be
I heard
perfect.
there's-
I'd watch for sure.
I heard there's a YouTube video that has all their soundtrack throughout the whole movie.
Too bad we don't have an original score to go over this episode. Real quick, before we get too far, I almost forgot. Don't forget to, I just added these, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you haven't liked the Facebook page, please do so now. Nate, did you have reviews today?
I did not. I didn't look them up. I've been pretty busy.
Yeah,
Who cares what people think?
Normally we have reviews for these movies, and I'm sure Nosferatu is going to get raked over the coals by people on Amazon.
Yeah, I'll just reply last week's. Oh, it's silent. This is boring. It would be better if it was in English or in language.
Oh,
voice.
it's German.
It's
No.
German. Oh,
Is there a Werner Herzog that's in English?
they filmed both versions apparently,
Okay,
but I've never seen an English one. I don't know.
I was watching it on Shudder last night because Joe Bob does a commentary, which was really cool. But I only got to watch about 45 minutes of it because and I will tell you guys, I was liking it better than the first time. But yeah, Joe Bob was wearing ridiculous clothes, but like he had a black wig on and pink. Anyway, so
Yeah, the sunlight thing was because of Nosferatu.
Yeah,
It
it was. Yeah.
never existed before that.
Nope. That's exactly right. Thank you, Dan. But no, what I was going to say was, I was watching it. And I was paying attention because it's in German, and I was looking at their mouth, and it feels like the one I was watching was English, but dubbed in German, which was very strange because I was watching what they were saying as they were saying, and the text would come across, and I was like, that looks like they're speaking English, but they're speaking German. So anyway, just thought I'd bring that up. What is going on between Alex and Luca?
They're just having a conversation.
This
We're boring them.
Yeah. Well, let's get on with the conversation.
All right.
There's a lot to talk about with Nosferatu. I know that for sure. Filming the FW Murnau.
Murnau.
Did you guys watch the video I sent over? It was 3 best movies. They compared. It was a really cool video. He was quite the guy, quite the character, and so is Max Schreck apparently. If that Shadow of the Vampire is like close to being correct, so
no. Max Schreck had been around for a while. He'd been a theater and films actor before Nosferatu.
Yeah, and I had never seen a picture of him without the Nosferatu makeup on because I never looked, and I looked, and all I found were pictures of Christopher Walken from Batman Returns.
I felt like one of the big problems with Shadow of the Vampire is like so much of Nosferatu shot in daylight. So.
Yes.
Yeah, like the boat scene is shot in daylight, but it's supposed to be a night scene. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go check on Helena. You guys talk about the movie for a little bit.
All right, Jared, it's your show, but I know you love this movie. I mean, I like it too, but I don't even have a Blu-ray. You got that Blu-ray? I'm sure it's got some good stuff on it. So I'm interested to hear what you got to say about it. What was the first time you saw it? What was your reaction to it? And why? Where's that love affair come from?
Well, to be totally brutally honest, it comes from Are You Afraid of the Dark? There was an episode, I want to say it was like the 2nd or 3rd season, where there was a group that worked at a movie theater, and they were playing a video, and basically Nosferatu comes out of the theater.
Oh.
I can't remember what it was.
That sounds like a cool episode. I never really watched that.
Was. But that's kind of like, I had seen that movie. I mean, I know I'm a little younger than you, so I mean, I had seen that movie probably when I was 15.
Yeah.
But that episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark happened when I was like 12. So I mean, it's like there's a bald vampire that comes out of the screen, and like he's like chasing the 2 workers. So I would say that would be the first. Once I realized what the character was, that would have been the first one.
So you hunted down the movie? Like got a VHS tape of it or something, or what?
Oh yeah, I had 2 DVDs. I never had it on VHS. I had 2 different DVDs. One of them I wanted out. I've probably seen that movie almost 175 times.
Whoa.
And that's probably dumb when you think about it because it's a silent film. But I don't know. I was kind of the introvert kid that would find those movies in the video store, and I would just sit in my room and watch them on VCR all the time. And but the most recent release that I got is the one that Ray got. Is this one? It has an amazing tint redual. It almost makes it blue, and so it's a little bit more vibrant than being in black and white. It's really good.
The whole thing's in blue with the blue filter on it.
Yeah, it's like a kind of a bright blue filter.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure exactly what they did to it, but I mean, it's.
I need to get that too.
I need to get that.
It's got any really good features on it?
Oh yeah, the one I have is a 2-disc version. It's got a whole disc of special features. It has the original one that's not color tinted, and it has an additional soundtrack too. That's the version that I would suggest, because when the original ones I saw never had much of a soundtrack.
So is the blue tint to kind of sell that, make up for the daylight shooting and make it look like night? Is that maybe what they're going for? Or?
Oh yeah, for sure, because you can tell when it's black and white, like how how bright it is.
Yeah, he's walking around carrying coffins in broad daylight, but he's
riding around the carriage.
Walking on the top of the ship. Sky as white as snow. Where is that ship?
And I that's the only Murnau film I've seen. I know you've talked about him a few times.
Dude, yeah, Ray talked about that video, which they weren't talking about his best movie. They were talking about his horror films, and I've watched a couple of his films. I brought him up on the show before. The movie he made, I think, after this was called The Last Laugh, which starred Emil Jannings, and that was the movie that Carl Freund, who directed The Mummy. I brought it up on the Mummy episode because he was a cinematographer on The Last Laugh, and on that he invented the free moving camera thing or whatever, where the camera for the first time was moving like from the point of view of the character and things, and it's got these amazing camera moves. It wasn't the first time a camera moved, but it was the first time the camera was moving as part of the storytelling that hadn't been done before. It was very innovative, and it's a really good movie. It's called The Last Laugh. It's about a guy who works the door at a fancy hotel, and he gets they take away his job. He carries that with a lot of pride because he has his uniform, and they take his job away and they put him in like the washroom because he's old, and they're like, they replace him, and now everyone's laughing at him because he's lost his prestigious suit and like uniform and position. And I don't want to give away, but it's a really good movie. But the one that blew me away was when he went to Hollywood. He made a movie called Sunrise, and Sunrise had my jaw on the floor. Like, I was just amazed by this movie. It's considered one of the great films, and beautiful story. The actress who plays the lead in it, she was the first one to win an Oscar. She won an Oscar for that performance. First Best Actress Oscar. And Murnau was just good. But they talked about Faust. He did Faust. He did Tartuffe. He did. He was just a really. He may arguably be the best silent film director next to Fritz Lang. Of course, all those German guys are just amazing. It probably comes down to those two guys.
Not taking anything away from what we did here in America in silent films, but the Germans seem to have a kind of a hold in a certain genre for sure. Somebody said I know that episode.
Well, I mentioned Richard
but no,
Brake,
it seems
Richard
like
Brake's
they
Nosferatu.
do have. Yes, we haven't gotten to that part. Yes. Yes, I appreciate all of this wonderful knowledge, sir.
You guys know what you're talking about.
Yes. All right, Mr. Seth, you have yet to weigh in. So, what's going on, buddy?
Right, writing stuff down.
Oh, shit. Do you have a sore throat? What is happening?
I was just trying to get into the spirit of the show, you know.
Of the silent film era.
Yeah,
Being the title card guy.
yeah. I should have spoke, and then hold up the card. No, yeah, I like the original. I first saw it. I first watched it when I was in high school, in a film class that I was in. It's a really good movie. Watching it last night, I couldn't help but think I kind of want to do like a fan edit where I put in my own title cards. There's like the one scene like in the beginning where the guy's like telling the Mina character or whatever that he was going away, and I don't know, I just thought his reaction was funny. But I actually prefer the Herzog film over the original, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know a lot about it like you guys do. Basically, I'm here for Jared.
Yeah, Jared, talk about the whole copyright thing and changing the names, and I'm sure you know all about that stuff.
Are you aware of that, Seth, at all?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, that was like one of the, I think, big talking points when I watched it in the film class I was in, and it's obvious. I mean, you watched the movie; it's clearly Dracula.
Oh yeah. But they found a way to skirt the tails.
Thought they did.
Yeah.
Let's change their characters' names. Like, they can't just take the story, dude. You can't.
Just keep the plot points the same. Just change the name.
I'm going to make Star Wars and call him like Jake Skyknocker or something, and I'll be fine. They won't sue me.
That's awesome.
But at the same time, we're talking about the early days of film. They probably just thought, who knew what the rules and he was kind of young too, Murnau. I mean, that's the other problem with the Shadow was like John Malkovich was probably like 15, 20 years too old to play Murnau at that time. Murnau was like maybe 30, 32, 33, something like that. I know I keep jumping in the Shadow, but I just watched it. That's why I hadn't seen it since 2000. Yeah. I hadn't seen it since 2000 when it came out.
I haven't either. That's the funny thing. Every time I see, we just even discuss it, when you would bring him up for different movies, Murnau, I just see John Malkovich. No matter what it is.
Malkovich. Yeah, I guess one of the things we could talk about is just, I think the thing that stands really out about that film is the way Max Schreck looks, the design of that vampire. I mean, it's a creepy looking. Like Bela Lugosi was a great performance, but you could show me a picture of Bela Lugosi, and I wouldn't be like kind of off put by it. But the Nosferatu, the Orlok vampire, is just so creepy looking. And you talk about all the incarnations. Of course, Salem's Lot with that vampire scary, but that's totally in that lineage of Max Schreck's vampire.
Very much.
The interesting thing of the film was, his look is based in anti-Semitic stuff that's how Jews were depicted at that time, with the hook noses and the bald head and there's a lot of talk that's how Jewish people were represented in cartoons and things like that at that time, and so a lot of his look comes from that. And of course, the Jewish people were compared to rats or mice, and he looks very rat-like or mouse-like. So, and there's also talk that the whole Murnau having Orlok move into another town away from where he was a play on the got real loud all of a sudden.
I just flushed the toilet. Sorry.
Okay. The people not wanting the Jewish people moving into their areas and things. So it's really, but there's a lot of people who say that Murnau didn't do that stuff, didn't inject that stuff. That Murnau was a homosexual and was probably more sensitive to the outsider and Orlok's character. I don't know, there's some interesting stuff. I'd like to read more about it. I don't know a whole lot about this. I've just seen little things touched about that, about the themes and this character.
One of the previous comments brought up something about one of the producers, Alvin, on the original production. His character comes, like, we haven't gotten there yet, but Shadow of a Vampire, Alvin's character comes in a little bit.
Yeah.
Has anybody watched? I guess we already talked about that, but the 79 version, like, did anybody get anything else that may be different from the original silent film, from Herzog's version?
He stayed fairly close to it from to Murnau's movie, I think. One of the things I like about Nosferatu compared to Dracula, I love the use of the plague. That Orlok brings the plague, or Dracula brings the plague to the village.
I just like when it starts carrying around coffins.
And that's creepy shit too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, looking down and seeing him putting his coffins up and getting in it. I mean, it's really creepy stuff. I absolutely love what they do with Harker's wife having to sacrifice herself, using her beauty to lock him in, to keep him there, especially in the Herzog version. That scene where he's feeding from her, then that just beautiful shot. It's with her breathing and Klaus's performance and her performance. It was one of the most erotic scenes I've ever seen in a film. The way Herzog let it go. He's got his hand on her breast. She's breathing. Her neck is long and exposed, and you just hear her breathing. It's silent. There's no music. And it's just this vampire feeding on this woman. And then he tries to get up and she pulls him down. Like, no, like, I love the Herzog film because that character becomes, the woman becomes the main character. I mean, she becomes the one who's actually actively, it's not Van Helsing. Van Helsing doesn't believe her. He's a man of science. Enough of all the dudes like trying to take down the vampire. She makes the ultimate sacrifice for her husband, who is completely, and the whole village. She's saving everyone. Like, the whole town is devastated by this fucking monster. And at the same time, Klaus's character is so sad because he just wants love that he can't have, and he's in love, and there's a real sadness to Herzog's movie that I think you just get because you have the advantage of having dialogue and having things where you don't have it in the original movie. Because I think that stuff's in Murnau's film. Would you agree that a lot of that is there?
Yes.
Just, you can't express it as much in just a lot of visual.
Yeah, you don't see it 100%, but the tone and the feeling is. Herzog did an amazing job just getting that idea across, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I really love the cast in Herzog's movie. Isabelle Adjani Adjani. I don't know how to say her name.
Yeah,
She's
she
really good.
was fucking amazing in Possession.
Possession was one I've been like. I think we need to talk about that movie because I was like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten she was in this. I hadn't seen Nosferatu '79 since probably the '90s, and I watched it. Oh shit, she's from Possession. That's the girl from Possession.
Yes,
And we've talked about Sam Neill and all that on here. I was like, we should do Possession because that is a wild movie.
yes.
But Bruno, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? His last name, Bruno Gans, who plays Harker.
I got nothing.
He, I'm a big. I like Wim Wenders a lot. He did the Wings of Desire, which City of Angels was based on, the Nicolas Cage, Meg Ryan movie. But Bruno was in Wings of Desire. He's the main character, the main angel in that movie. And I loved him in that. And then he did a movie called American Friend that Wim Wenders did with Dennis Hopper. It's great. And then he's the one, everyone's seen him in those memes or those video edits of him as Hitler losing his shit in the Downfall movie. Where he goes on his rant because like he saw some movie or people do the new subtitles on the Downfall clip of Bruno Gans doing that. And then Klaus Kinski, of course, is just one of the most interesting actors who's ever lived. But here, I know we're jumping onto that movie. We should stick with the 22 version too. What can we talk about on that one more?
I was wondering that too. I don't have a whole lot of fun facts for that one.
Ray had touched upon it. A lot of German expressionist films were shot on sets with very abstract, surreal sets, but a lot of this movie shot on actual locations in real places.
Yes.
So that's a big difference between if you look at like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and things like that. This movie's a little different from that. Ray had brought it up in the group about Murnau. One of the interesting things about him, he was killed in a car accident. He fought in World War I. He was in the Air Force in Germany and had a lot of he crashed a lot in his planes. They said it was kind of ironic. He survived all those crashes in planes in World War I, but he got killed in a car accident. But there was a story that in 2015, his skull was stolen from his grave.
Really? Why?
That's amazing. I mean, I you have the grave robbers that want for gold, but then you have grave robbers that are like, this is for a collection. You're not going to get a fucking dime off of Murnau's skull.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Well, they said they found like wax strippings there, so they think it was part of some occult ritual thing. Like they had candles burning and things like that. So who knows?
Yes. It must. We stand on the left and we pray for the right. We get them to the night. Oh my goodness.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, what do you have for your last comments on the original Nosferatu?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I'd like it to be remade.
Well, hopefully that's happening.
Yeah. I'd like to be remade the year before I was born by another German who has a good reason behind making the remake too, as he did. Wow. I don't know. It's fine. The scenes
comparing El Topo to.
I know somebody's mentioned.
I just saw El Topo.
The scenes with Orlok are really cool. The use of shadow is fantastic in the movie. Um, I don't know. I wish I could say more about it. I don't hate it. I can't do silent movies very well. I had to sit through this. It took me about 3 hours to sit through it because I'd have to get up and like stretch and not fall asleep. You know, like I started running in place and stuff. I'm like, okay, you can do it. You can do it.
I will say, anytime a silent film's over an hour, 10, hour, 15 minutes, it can be taxing because it's just such a different watching experience.
Yeah.
To unless there's like, unless it's like a movie that's like really intense, the if it's something like Charlie Chaplin, where it's or Lloyd Kaufman, or not Lloyd Kaufman, Harold Lloyd.
I mean, Lloyd Kaufman does look like he's going.
Harold Lloyd and Buster
He
Keaton.
probably could do those movies.
They're funny. They're constantly like there's all these amazing things that are happening. Or something like The Passion of Joan of Arc. Just was so it was just so intense the whole time. But this movie does move a little slow. Like I said, it's like 21 minutes before you even see Orlok appear.
Those last 5 minutes are so good, though.
So yeah, sometimes silent films are kind of hard to watch if you got to really be in kind of the right mood.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the time to do it, because it does. We talk about all the time about put your phone down, all that shit. But I think we're all guilty of multitasking when we watch movies or anything nowadays because that's just how we are. It's how we're rewired now. That we can't just sit still unless we're in a movie theater or it's, I think our minds just go wandering because our minds are just fucking overreactive now.
Yeah. And that's probably part of my problem. Now, I did not have my phone or playing with my phone or anything like that. I did have to deal with bedtime for the kids at one point. That's why I stopped. I had to poop at one point, which I know you guys wanted to hear that. But no, it's just I can't like the good thing about Nosferatu versus that other one. What is it? The Cat and the Canary was the music was not as repetitive as it. Like that was my biggest problem with that one was how like it was over and over the same like 3 or 4 songs over and over, and but this one it did keep me more engaged. I love the title cards, the way they look and the way they change, and then also I heard Jared mention it before. I like that they use different filters for colors. For blue is night, yellow is day. Which I've seen just the black and white version. I kind of prefer the tinted version better because it gives you because that night scene on the boat it's definitely filmed in day and you can tell, but throw that blue tint over, then you get a more feeling of what time of day it is, which I like that they did that. I thought that was cool. But yeah, Shrek looks awesome in the movie. Like early on he looks very like kind of mousy, but later on when he's got his fingers out and he's and the shadows are so good. In some of the scenes with him, but yeah, it's definitely a legendary movie. It's 100 years old, and they should have made one this year, not wait till next year. That was stupid. I'm gonna think of it like Rob Zombie's Halloween. Why didn't they make it in 2008? They made it in 2007.
I always loved the shot of his shadow coming over her and clutching her heart. The shadow clutching her heart, and she reacts. I always thought that was a brilliant choice. I also really love the guy that plays the Renfield character. I know he's not Renfield in the movie.
Dude, he is scary looking in Orlok.
He's scary. He's scary himself. But I love like when he's running from the authorities or cops. He's like on the roof and they're up there and he's like laughing and he's climbing around.
I was like, what is going on? Like this is fucking madness.
Or when he's like grabbing flies and.
Real fast, Zana Leo. I don't know how to say her name. I'll put a link for a video the Cinemassacre did where it ranked all the different Dracula movies, including Nosferatu, I believe, and came up with the one that's closest to the correct adaptation of the novel, if you'd like. If you don't, then whatever. I'll do it anyway. Anyway, so yeah, that's my 2 cents. Are you guys moving on to 79?
Unless anybody has anything to add, I don't think I do.
I think the that tinted version is on YouTube because I watched the movie last night on YouTube and it had the different filters, the blue and the
yellow,
yeah,
whatever, orange, whatever it was. Yeah.
yeah.
I thought it was a nice touch that they did that. I've seen both versions now, black and white, and that, and I really I like both of them. I mean, I'm sorry, I like the tinted one better. So, Werner Herzog, huh? Werner.
Werner.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest difference is the talking. And I forgot, he wanted to do this because, did anybody really remember why he wanted to make this movie, this remake?
Well, Werner said that he thinks that Nosferatu is the greatest German film ever made.
Yeah.
Of course, he's German, or he's a German filmmaker, and I don't know exactly why he wanted to do it. I'm glad he did. I mean, I think the most interesting thing is, he's made he made a lot of classics with Kinski, and Kinski has this horrible reputation of being one of the most problematic actors ever. Like, basically threw tantrums on set all the time. People didn't want to work with him.
Christian Bale. Christian Bale of German actors.
He's like probably 10 times worse than that Christian Bale is. Christian had actual motivation, but apparently Kinski was just a fucking madman. And it would just had to throw big fits, and like him and Werner would like come to blows and shit. Like, there's a documentary called My Best Fiend, which kind of looks like My Best Friend, and it's him and Kinski's relationship. They said trying to get Kinski to be kind of small, like where he has those small moments or quiet, tiny performance. He said basically that to get him like that, he would just get him worked up and angry and throwing a fit before they filmed. So by the time they filmed, he was like tired and worn down. So when you see him, he's really like just lethargic from having his little, hissy fit before they filmed.
Nate saw the menu.
They could make a Shadow of the Vampire 2 about that.
Yeah. I just saw the menu today. Really loved it. I want to see Bones and All. Bones and All just opened today, and
that one just came out.
Yeah, I want to see that. I love the filmmaker, and my buddy Max Solis is in it. He was in the Dark and Bloody Ground. He had no idea who Timothy Chalamet was or who Luca was. He just told me, "Hey, I'm doing this movie by this guy," and I got these scenes with this kid named Timothy Chalamet. I was like, dude, that guy's like the biggest thing going right now. But he was right before Dune came out, right? I'm like,
right.
Yeah, this guy is a big star. He's already got an Oscar nomination and shit. And he had no idea. And he said, yeah, I just did this movie. I was like, oh man, this guy did like Suspiria remake. Yeah, it's gonna be. I want to see that.
I can't find what it's. I saw something the other day about why he wanted to make Nosferatu, not just because it was his favorite German film or the best German film ever made, but I did want to mention the opening itself of the Mummies of Guanajuato.
Yeah.
He was just there, and he's like, "Do we have the camera? We need to film this," and it ended up being the opening of the movie, which was really cool seeing it after I heard about that.
Found his pure moments.
Yeah, and damn it, I need to find that because it was really interesting the reason. I feel like it had to do something with Hitler and his regime. I don't want to say the word, but something about when he came into power, they destroyed all of the films and just started making propaganda movies. And so
they definitely did that a lot.
Right. And so all German filmmakers, most of their stuff was lost to the ages because of that. And so, and when he was in film school, Herzog was in film school, he either saw Nosferatu or something like that. And he's like, if I ever do anything, I want to remake this. It's the greatest movie because, of what happened in the early to mid 30s. They just got rid of all their horror movies, and Nosferatu was able to actually. That was almost a lost film, from
I
what I
think that
understand as well.
movie. I think that movie only survived from like foreign copies somewhere
Yeah.
outside of Germany. Because, like I said, someone mentioned that Bram Stoker's widow had all of them hunted down and destroyed.
Yep.
And apparently, like in one thing about Nosferatu, Herzog's, is that he uses Count Dracula and Jonathan Harker and all that. And apparently, that's because the novel went into public domain right before he made it. So he was able to change the names to the actual novel.
That might be why there was a rash of Dracula movies that came out.
There's like 5 movies in the 70s of Dracula.
Yeah.
And talk about lost movies. Murnau himself, 8 of his films are lost.
I love this guy here. He or this person here. He mentions Jess Franco's Dracula. Christopher Lee actually has a mustache, which Christopher Lee was very happy about that because he wanted to play a very accurate portrayal of Count Dracula, and he never did in his movies. And he got to have the mustache, and he was very pleased with that. Anyway, I saw him bring up Jess Franco, which is.
We talk about the novel, but I did hear Herzog say he didn't like Bram Stoker's book. He thought it was a shitty book.
Well, I've tried reading that book numerous times, and it's told from so many different perspectives, and for me it kind of bounces everywhere. It's just not. I don't know. Am I the only one who's ever read it, or have you?
I've read it a long time ago.
I read it when I was like 13.
Yeah,
I've read it many times.
Yeah, what do you think of it, Seth?
I like the book.
Yeah,
it's
you're a Stoker shill.
Yeah, I'm a Stoker shill. Yeah.
No,
I like the idea that it was like a collection of journals and diaries from all these people, and I don't know. I was really engaged with it, and at the time I first got it too, I was kind of like really digging into the real Vlad and his stuff in his past and all that, and so the book is really cool to me. I enjoy it a lot, and I enjoy a lot of the movies, even though very few are even really close to that book at all.
Remotely.
Here's my copy.
I can't remember if it was the original or Herzog's, where they wanted to film it in Transylvania, and they wouldn't let them film there because Vlad's a national hero there, and they didn't want Dracula being portrayed in their country as a villain.
Yeah.
I could see it being the one in the 70s, though.
I did read one problematic thing about Herzog's movies is that the animals were really mistreated on the movie. Apparently, like the rats were, when they showed up, they hadn't been fed or something, and they were eating each other, and they couldn't find gray rats. They were white rats that they ended up dying. And in order to dye them gray, they had to put them in boiling water.
Oh, shit.
So some of them died doing for that.
Yeah, there was animal cruelty things brought up against that movie. Actually, I found that out reading this. Who has this?
I had that a long time ago. I don't have it
So
now.
I had to tape my cover back on because I read through it so much. There's my bookmark. Anyway.
Well, if there was actually rats on set, there wouldn't have been a problem on E. Elias Marriage's movie for sure.
Oh yeah. I tell you, that scene where she is in the town square and they're all dancing and having a feast and we're all got the plague and we're gonna die, so we're gonna live. That's a fucking disturbing sequence. There's
very
something
grim
about that. Yeah, it's just very one of the darkest scenes I think I've seen. Just what's going on? And they're like, yeah, we all have the plague. We're all gonna die, so we're just gonna have a feast and live to the fullest. And there's just rats everywhere. It's coffins. I mean, it's.
He would have made it past the rats.
Junior.
I don't know why every time I hear rats, I think of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Dr. Jones!
There were rats, Dad. Rats.
Rats.
I'm gonna go check on Helena. I'll be right back. I'm gonna mute my mic so you don't have to hear it, just in case I take a pee.
So where we at? We're almost
On Herzog.
almost an hour in. We're still on Herzog. Is okay. Seth,
I love that dude.
Have you seen Herzog's version?
He said he
Yeah.
preferred that one.
I prefer that one.
You prefer that one? Yeah.
I think it's, I don't know, I think it's beautifully shot, and I love the score for it especially.
Oh yeah, man. The Wagner music is fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the music. I love the imagery. It is very beautiful. It's also very grounded.
Yeah.
Somehow, like there's just something about, and maybe this Herzog style. You know, Herzog has made almost as many documentaries as he's made feature films. You know, he's almost even more known for his documentaries, like The Grizzly Man. If you pop up Werner Herzog, the Grizzly Man movie is probably the one most people know. You know, like stuff like Aguirre and Fitzcarraldo and Nosferatu are a little less known. I just like Werner Herzog a lot. I think he's just a really interesting human being. Anytime you hear him talk, he's just really. A while back, I talked about Wings of Desire. I bought the DVD of that, and on there, the Wim Wenders made a documentary in '85 where he just went to Tokyo, and he was just filming Tokyo in 1985, like a documentary, because he was so in love with Ozu's films, and he wanted to see if it was like that still, because those movies were made in the 40s and 50s,
Right.
and it wasn't. And he happens to run into fucking Werner Herzog while he's in Japan, and you know, his fellow German filmmaker, and Herzog just goes on this thing about how you can't find pure images anymore. He goes, look at it, because he's talking about how developed Japan was. It's all this industry and cities and shit. And he goes, I just want to find pure, untouched images in the world, but how do I do that? Like, I have to go to space. Because I want to go to space just so I could shoot the Earth, because it'll be pure and untouched. He goes, I will go everywhere I have to go, anywhere, do whatever I have to do to find it. There's a really good interview if you want to look. I watched today of it's about 30-40 minutes of him just talking about Nosferatu at this, like, kind of I don't know if it was a film festival or whatever. He was a guest. He's on stage, and this woman's talking to him about Nosferatu and the making of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I have anything left. I mean, I really didn't have. You guys kind of said it all, though. The version I've ever seen of that movie is the German version. Isabella, she's amazing. Like, kind of not like a beautiful. I guess I'm kind of losing what I'm thinking about, but she kind of has that next door neighbor like look. Like, she's not just that beautiful Mina. I guess we do have. What's her butt from Stranger Things that does the 1992 Mina, because they kind of have the same facial features. I don't know why that is. I feel like they have the same facial features. That's weird. But yes,
that pale skin, that dark hair, it's like I said, that scene where she's laying in bed and he's giving herself to Orlok, or Dracula in this movie. It's Dracula. So he changed it. We could talk about how Kinski's performance. I really like his version of Dracula. Again, grounded. There's the scene like at the dinner table with him and Harker, and they're going over the thing that, in the way, like there's no there's no hiding what he's wanting to do. Like he knocks that chair around and backs him up into the chair and like to get that blood from his thumb, and it's
definitely more forceful.
Yeah, it was just really, but it felt so grounded and real because of the way Herzog shoots it. There's no music. It's very up close. I mean, we're like he's shooting it from like over Bruno's shoulder. As Bruno's moving toward us, it's almost like we as the audience are being walked, like pursued by Kinski in that shot. And I don't know, I just there's things about it I like. It's not a performance that's large at all. That's what's really cool about it. Like when he first goes to her and tries to get her, and she's got the crucifix on, the way he responds it's not like or it's not like Bela would like that kind of thing. It's more like it's like this disappointment, like I'll just fucking leave then. And then he leaves. Like I love that he kind of disappears. You just see the door close by itself after he walks off of screen. There's really cool stuff like that Herzog does in the movie with this, where Dracula is handled as a shadow or a ghost in some ways. His whole castle's handled as it's not really being there. It's all ruins, but when Harker gets there, there's actually a castle there. And then he's got the little ghost boy playing the violin and all kinds of weird shit going on that he doesn't even know if it's real or not. And I love that he's just completely out. When he gets all pale and sickly and like he doesn't know who she is. How did we meet? Who is this woman? Like it's very heartbreaking. And you see why she makes that decision. And that's probably the thing I love the most about her. That movie is the way her character is written and handled and played out. That ultimate sacrifice she makes. She's there with her husband, and he's just completely lost soul who's dying, I guess. I don't know. She doesn't know. But the fact that the man she loves doesn't even know who she is anymore because of this illness or whatever else plagued him, causes her to, and no one will listen to her. I mean, she almost becomes like, it's like the Nancy Thompson character before Nancy Thompson of like, no one listens and I know what needs to be done and I'm going to take care of it. And she does. Like Van Helsing doesn't listen to her. Science. I love the choice to make Van Helsing completely opposite of what we've seen of Van Helsing. But the guy playing him just seems like he's almost like feeble or something. Like it's just his science. There's something about it. Just like, well, that was an interesting choice because Van Helsing in popular culture was just like so in control and so intelligent and so kill the vampire. I can't think of another Van Helsing that was that way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I love that Herzog puts that into her, like gives her that role. It's not about the men hunting down the vampire. It's about her saving the world, saving her husband. And it's all for nothing. It's a complete kid because he's a fucking vampire at the end.
Seth, you got anything on the Herzogs?
Not really. I didn't get a chance to revisit it, so I'm kind of going off memory of watching it from like, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. I watched it when I got the Blu-ray. I remember really liking it, especially for the reasons that I said.
How's the Blu-ray?
Looks good. Looks nice. One thing I do love about it is like some of the scenery too. There's the scene where Harker's on his trek and he goes through like this like mountain with like a waterfall or whatever. It's just beautiful location.
Wasn't it the first one where he leaves the?
I'm trying to read through all this guy's comments here. This Zanillo.
Is there one like after he leaves the gypsies, and he's going towards the mountains, walking on foot? It's a really beautiful land, like location and shot. Just the mountains beyond the green.
Even when they get to the city, like after, like before that and afterwards, the city where they're at, like it's amazingly shot, like beautiful. I don't know if it was like in Austria or something. It didn't feel like it was in Germany.
I think, yeah, sure. That movie was shot in a lot of places.
So we did start a little late, so I know we kind of are short on time.
Well, yeah, we got till 9:30. We didn't start till 8. So
Okay, so we got till 9:30 your time.
yeah, so we got like another 20, 25 minutes.
20 minutes, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think we can jump into Shadow.
Which I'm totally okay with. When did you see it when it first came out?
Yeah.
Now that we're moving on to Shadow of the Vampire.
I saw it when it hit VHS. I probably rented it. I don't think I saw that one in theaters. And I had not seen it since. I just watched it today for the first time since 2001, I guess.
I did. Probably about 10 years. Yeah. Not quite that many years.
It's the Black Cat.
It's
a good. I like it. I mean, Defoe was well cast. I read that he got the part for the Green Goblin because of this movie. Like they saw him in this, and
Raimi did.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Raimi or the producers, but whoever made that call saw him in this, and thought to give him Green Goblin.
Oh God. I can see it. I can totally see it. Like, for anybody that's still watching, if you haven't seen E. Elias Marriage's Shadow of the Vampire, it is a wonderful kind of a I wouldn't say it's like a total joke on the production, but it is a little bit at the same time where they kind of take you inside of the production of Murnau's production of the film. John Malkovich plays Murnau, and
yeah, I forgot how funny it was. I never thought of it as a comedy. I'm watching it, I'm like, this is kind of hilarious.
It kind of is,
because it is ridiculous. Like for people who don't know, it's like the making of Nosferatu, but if Max Schreck was an actual vampire that Murnau discovered in a hole and basically is shooting, and he's the only one that knows it, and he's just trying to keep Max from eating his fucking cast and crew. And he's just, and I just love what I love about like Defoe's performance, because he's doing Shrek. I mean, he's doing the whole body language and all that, but I love how he just looks like almost like this disgusted look all the time. Like he just like, get the fuck, Yeah. And he
doesn't quite understand what they want from him.
Yeah. And I love his little bit where he talks about how sad he was when he read Bram Stoker's book. He goes, the scene where this guy he's been alone. He doesn't have servants, and he's been alone for 400 years, and he has to feed Harker. He hasn't eaten food in 400 years, and he has to, like, he's supposed to remember how to prepare food and how to have guests and do
just keep things. Going. Just keep going. Somebody rang my doorbell. Just keep going, buddy.
I am completely alone now. Just like Dracula. Yeah, it's a really funny movie, just trying to keep this vampire that you've hired, but no one knows he's a vampire, from eating your cast and crew. And Murnau's obsession with getting this and filming his movie, where he's able to negotiate. Who should I sacrifice? Because Max, I think the first person Max kills is a cinematographer. He's like, couldn't you have gotten like the script girl or something? He's like, couldn't you eaten her? He goes, I'll eat her later. Or something. It's like he's trying to like, who in the pecking order is expendable? Like, oh, we should eat the writer. Yeah, eat the fucking writer. And then Carrie Elwes plays the replacing cinematographer, so we at least get Carrie to replace him. I mean, we got a lot of good cast in the movie. Udo Kier, who he's playing the producer, I believe, right in the movie. Was it Udo Kier playing?
Yeah, Udo Kier played the producer.
And you know, this is a guy who played Dracula himself. There's a lot of turnover, like because Kier played Dracula.
Was it 70s. That 70s in the Flesh for Frankenstein 3D?
Yeah, and Kinski played Renfield before he did Nosferatu.
So interesting.
So one of the casting choices I love in this movie is Eddie Izzard as the Harker character, an actor playing the Harker character. Because Eddie's one of my favorite stand-ups, and it was at that time where he started to really break through, like break big, at that early, like late '90s, early 2000s, and so he did this movie, playing that character, and he's really funny in this one too, reacting to Max Schreck. I mean, if your co-star is a fucking maniac and doesn't know how to act because he's not an actor, so he's like, "Are you kidding me, Max?" You know, it's like, what? And then he like tries to, Max literally attacks Eddie Izzard when he's cut his thumb. He's like, what the? But Eddie Izzard also, like, it's funny, did this, which is supposed to be based on a true story. A few years later, he did The Cat's Meow, where he plays Charlie Chaplin in a supposed true story about Charlie Chaplin and these other people, Hollywood people, which I haven't seen since that came out, probably 2003, 2004. But I love Eddie Izzard, so it was cool to see him in this as well. He had a little stint where he was doing a lot. I think he was in Mystery Men. You know, it was your baby bowler. He was like the hit bad guy, or like Jeffrey Rush's henchman or right hand man. But yeah,
he's also kind of the unofficial Python Knight.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of live stuff with them.
Yeah, he's just a funny man. I always like his stand-up shows. The one he did for HBO, I think it was HBO, Dressed to Kill or something. It was just one of the funniest stand-up specials I've ever seen. He just talked about history and the Bible and, you know, just really genius stuff. Yeah, I like Shadow of the Vampire. I think it's an interesting, funny, kind of satirical.
Very, very satirical.
Yeah.
And I think it gives you literally one of Malkovich's and DeVoe's better roles that they don't get credit for because it hasn't been released on DVD again. It hasn't been done on Blu-ray. Like, you can't even find this movie.
It's not. It kills me that there are so many shitty films available. Yet Shadow of the Vampire, which Defoe was nominated for an Oscar for his performance in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's a movie where the guy was nominated for an Oscar for his performance, and you can't get it anywhere.
Unless you want to spend $30 for a DVD that's out of print.
Yeah.
Which luckily I already had it because I know the director. That, like, I don't personally know him, obviously, but he Elias Marriage, he did literally like 3 movies and then just disappeared, and now he's doing other shit. He's not even making movies anymore.
What's he doing?
I don't know. He did an art movie when he was still in college. It's called Begotten, and I know you've probably heard of it. Let me grab it. Good gravy.
I'm just reading the expert Dracula stuff. That's okay. Like
He did it in like 1989. Okay, this was like a college film.
oh yeah, I saw the picture of that one when I was looking him up.
Yes. It's a black and white film. So, I mean, he would have been perfect doing his version of Shadow of the Vampire in black and white because he did this in black and white. I think it would have been fine. But, yeah.
I mean,
He
I just
literally
love
did 3 movies and then kind of just disappeared.
I just love the whole making of like we're seeing a movie making of a silent film. Like I would love to see more movies that are based on making of movies. Like I'd love to see. I think I've talked about like a making of Jaws movie or a making of Halloween or some shit like that. I think it would be fun to see. But I think I don't know if we have any more to talk about other, but we do have a Nosferatu on the way from one of the best filmmakers working today, who is like tailor made for Nosferatu. This is and he's been obsessed with that movie since he was a child. He's been trying to get it made for ever since he did The Witch, I believe.
I was gonna say he's given us really good period pieces, so he might be good for it.
Yeah, I think his version of Nosferatu is going to be on par with the 2 we already have. I do expect. He's got Bill Skarsgård playing Orlok, and Johnny Depp's daughter playing, I guess, is it Mina or Lucy? I can't remember what it was in Nosferatu, who she was. Now they always swap them in the movies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which one's which? And then they got Nicholas Hoult playing somebody. They haven't said who, but I imagine he's probably the Harker character. Of course, everybody started going Willem Defoe as Orlok. I said, no, he's already done that. I get it. He did A Lighthouse. He was brilliant in it. He was in Northman.
I do remember another person that got mentioned for Orlok. I want to say it was the guy that played the water guy in
Doug Jones.
Yeah, Doug Jones. He was initially.
He played a Nosferatu looking character on What We Do in the Shadows. If you on the TV show. So he's done that. He's perfect. He's so funny in that role. There's been a few the Nosferatu vampire, like even in the movie, it wasn't Doug Jones, but he did the TV version where he looks like Nosferatu.
Yeah, the guy that played Peter in the movie.
Yeah.
Peter. He just hangs out in the basement.
Hello, Peter. Taco Matiti.
I like in the show when they what do they do? They fed him like pizza or something like that.
He's throwing up.
Fucking
like projectile vomit.
Yeah.
And someone mentioned it earlier, Richard Brake playing him in the Munster movie, which I thought he looked great and did a good job. It was funny as a Nosferatu type vampire. Did you guys see that, the Munsters? The Rob Zombie one?
I have not.
Okay. Yeah, she
not.
Lily goes on a date. She's trying to date. I think it's like a setup date thing, and she's on a date with a vampire, and it's Richard Brake as a Nosferatu vampire.
That I could see that being kind of funny.
Yeah, he plays a couple. He plays that, and he plays the Dr. Frankenstein type character, the one who makes Herman, with Hurley from Lost playing his assistant. Yeah, Robert Eggers. I'm really, really looking forward to that. I can't wait to see images from that because he's just perfect.
If it comes to fruition, I'm totally on that. I'm on board.
Yeah.
So we've said a little bit about all of them. Seth, have you seen the newest one? Shadow of a Vampire.
Oh yeah, I saw it when I was younger.
Yeah, I was gonna say that came out when we were like in high school or just out of high school. It was like
Yeah, I think I
2000,
still
I
have the
think.
poster for it. Um, I thought it was a neat concept for a movie, and I thought it was hilarious. I know you guys were cutting in and out for me, but I think I heard Nate mention something about the um, feeding on one of the crew members, and he's like, "Can you at least take the script, girl?"
Take the script girl. How about the screenwriter? We can get rid of him, right?
Yeah. It's funny. It's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I didn't remember it being funny. Like I hadn't seen it in 20 years, and so I'm watching. I'm like, wow, this is hilarious. I didn't remember it being funny. Like I guess maybe I didn't get the humor then. I don't know, but
It's produced by Nicolas Cage, wasn't it?
yeah, it was
Yes,
his first.
I was gonna mention that.
First thing he ever produced.
Fun fact. But yeah, a lot of the comedy is brought on by Willem Defoe and just Malkovich's maniac, like his. I don't know if Murnau was that way on the set back in the day, but you get the idea that Murnau was a maniac by the way Malkovich played him. Like he had his hand in everything. I'm going to tell you what to do. If you don't do it, okay, we're moving on.
What's that when Defoe like sees the picture of the actress and the locket? It's like, oh, she's great bosoms.
She has a great bosom. It's like, cut it, keep going. Great bosoms. Yes, they did. They both did so good, and I think both of their performances are totally underrated.
Yeah.
And this movie needs some kind of a Blu-ray or some kind of other release.
And even though it's short, I enjoyed Cary Elwes in it. His little playing the kind of cocky cinematographer. It's just probably more talent, more experience maybe than they are.
Well, they had to bring somebody in because the one guy got fucking murdered.
Killed. It's like the lights come on, and he's on the ground, and we're like, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Like, just the fun. Like my daughter was watching it with me, and she made a comment, made me laugh. It's the scene where he's talking to the screenwriter and Udo Kier outside, and he just snatches that bat out of the sky and starts drinking its blood, and they go, "Wow, what a committed actor!" Just fucking snatched the bat. And my daughter goes, before he does that, or after he did that, before he leaves, my daughter's like, "Are you all right, dude?" Talking about how weird he is. Like, they're not, like, freaked out by this guy.
Whew.
Oh, Ray. Doesn't he have to end the show, or could we?
I was gonna say we might as well. I'll go ahead and start with final thoughts. The original Nosferatu is now 100 years old. It looks like it's 100 years old. It feels like 100 years old, but I mean, it is one of those movies that will forever be in my top 10 forever of horror movies, no matter what else still comes out, because it is I can't say it's the first pioneer because I know there's some other films out there that kind of started horror off in silent films, but this movie to me is my pioneer in horror film and will always be in my top 10 of all time. The Herzog film is very good. It's very beautiful. There's amazing outfits. Like he just makes it romantic looking. Like it kind of gives you just have this lovely vampire movie with it. So it is a worthy remake. And for those of you out there that have not seen Shadow of a Vampire, I know it's hard to find, but if you can find it, it is way worth your watch. It is fun. You have two amazing actors that give amazing performances that they don't get credit for. But other than that, like Nosferatu as a whole, as a subject, will always be near and dear to the cockles of my heart. So whoever wants to go next.
Are we doing final thoughts here?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, I missed most of the show.
Yeah, like the Nosferatu remake is one of those remakes that never gets really mentioned when people talk about remakes. Everybody always go like when you talk about good ones, and this is a good one, I think, but people never bring up that that's a remake or bring that one up when they're in the conversation. And even when they talk about like the 70s of like, you know, Invasion of the Body Snatchers and shit like that, it's like, but
Halloween is a remake of Peeping Tom.
Nosferatu
No.
is it's just really good stuff, and the thing, like, another thing I was really shocked about is how it doesn't look like it was very big budgeted. There's something very simplistic about it, and this probably goes into Herzog's style of filmmaking anyway. I think this movie only had like 16 people on the crew. I think I read that. So he had he did not have some big Hollywood, big huge production crew on this movie. Probably just what he needed, because that's kind of how he does this thing, and I think that kind of shows on film when movies are made that way. I think that's why it feels so grounded and real, because it's not overcooked, it's not overdone. No, I mean, I don't have much to add other than what Jared did. I think all three of these movies are must-sees for horror fans, must-sees for Dracula fans, must-see for vampire fans. They're three very good movies, all very different because of the time they were made or what they're trying to do. Yeah. Thumbs up. Check them out.
Nate Zilla says, check them out. Nate, we should put together a list of pre-1980s remakes to put on the website.
Pre-1980 remakes.
Yeah, because, I mean...
Well, there's a lot people don't realize.
Like, I know.
From the silent era,
yeah.
like, they was almost... Like, so many silent films were remade in the 30s and 40s. It would blow people's minds. Like, I remember counting the remakes in the 40s, and it was like 80 or 90 remakes made in the 40s.
We just talked about one,
Cat and
I
Canary.
keep wanting to say Black Canary. I love DC Comics, sorry. But yeah, the Cat and the Canary, it was remade in 1962. The Old Dark House was remade in the 1960s. So, yeah, there's a lot of them, and we should definitely put a list of horror movies on the website that
It's like how many Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movies were there? How many Phantom of the Opera movies were there in those first 50
there was a
years?
Phantom of the Opera from the 1920s and the 1930s, I think, right?
Yeah. Frederick March one, and then they just keep making them.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, people would argue whether they were novels, and when you adapt novels, you know, and that's the thing, people don't believe that anymore. Like when they made the It remake, it's like, why not? It's a great book.
Yeah.
And it was a great fucking remake.
I
like it more than the Tim Curry movie.
Yeah, it's still technically a remake. And as for Nosferatu, I mean, Werner Herzog made it because of the 1922 Murnau film. So that's an absolute remake, even if it's based off of Dracula.
Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't mean to mess up the whatever. Who's going next for final thoughts?
Seth
Rooney.
Well, I actually just missed a shitload of things that Nate said. My connection is really bad.
I just said that.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep this short, okay? I enjoyed the original just fine. I prefer the remake, just because I like the setting and the cinematography and the score. especially those are my favorite things about it. Those are things that stand out to me. Shadow the Vampire is really fun, and it kind of works as a nice little companion piece with Nosferatu, whatever version you want to watch.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I think it works. You can watch Shadow the Vampire immediately after, and it's just one cool experience.
I love this picture of Willem Defoe, by the way. Something about it. I saw it. I was like, "Oh, I need to take that one."
I just wonder why they didn't give him the pointy teeth.
Yeah.
Shadow the Vampire.
I don't know. He's so good in that movie, though.
Yeah.
And so is Malkovich. Malkovich. You ever seen Meeting John Malkovich? Anybody ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie's amazing.
Great movie.
Yeah.
John Cusack's really good in that movie.
Mm-hmm. John Cusack, Cameron Diaz. What's her name from Get Out?
Catherine Keener.
Catherine Keener. She's in there, right? Because I believe that's the first time I ever saw her. I love her. She's one of my underrated favorites. Seth, is there anything else, or should I move on?
You should move on.
Okay, bye. No, I don't. Okay, so I always had problems with this the 1922 version because I know now I can't watch silent movies without taking a few breaks. But I respect it, what it is. I know that the cinematography was well ahead of its time, and I also recognize that what Murnau was doing was kind of different from what other German expressionists were doing at the time. And he used a lot more sets where they were using more, things that they made on their own and everything. And Orlok is there. Definitely, I like seeing how, like I said, towards the beginning of the movie, when you first meet him, he's kind of a mousy looking, non-threatening looking character. Then later on in the movie, he's very terrifying looking. I wish I could have seen it in 1922, that's for sure. The 79 one, I can't really speak much on because I haven't seen it since 2019, but the beginning, that with the mummy, the mummified remains, is so fucking haunting. And also knowing that those are real people. We're real people. It just really can set the movie up. But I bought it on Blu-ray finally, both of them. So I'm going to give that a fair shot this time because I kind of watched it in 2019 and didn't really embrace it, if that makes sense. Whereas Shadow of the Vampire, I fucking love that movie. But again, it's got two great performances from two powerhouse actors who I love. So yeah, I'm glad that we were able to do this. Sorry I haven't been here. Got a call, and my daughter's not feeling well. She's feeling a little bit better though. She was in the bathroom a little while ago. That's why I was gone so long. Maybe trying to throw up or whatever. But this person here, thanks for all your great input. I really appreciate it. I hope you subscribe to the channel. I hope you come back to watch our many other shows. Huh?
He needs to publish our comment section.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, all the great. Thank you for all that. That was really nice. I'm sorry I wasn't here for to put the comments up at real time, but subscribe to the Horror Syndicate, please. We do have a Facebook page, of course, and we do live shows every Wednesday. And now Seth and I are farting around with doing stuff on Fridays. We did 2 episodes, and I think we're going to do Friday the 13th and just kind of talk about that. There you go, on Friday, because we and Seth can't get enough of going live and looking at ourselves. And hearing ourselves talk. But anyway, appreciate what?
It's a total narcissist.
I am, for sure. No. Anyway, appreciate everyone for coming out and watching, especially on Thanksgiving Eve. And I personally want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving for tomorrow that celebrates Thanksgiving. Those who don't, have a happy Thursday, I guess. Have a happy lunch, as said in the Beyond. Because Fulci was going to lunch. Remember that, Jared? Anyway. Thanks again. Come back next week, as we'll have another topic, which I've already forgotten what it is. Do we have a topic for next week? And Nate, are you going to be on next week?
Probably not.
I was going to say it'll be...
I can't remember what day you're...
December 1st, possibly?
Yeah. Is it December 1st, or is it the 30th?
It's the 30th. Wednesday is.
Okay. So we'll figure something out, something fun. Let us know in the comments what you'd like us to talk about. I have a list of 149 different movies that we've talked about. So if it doesn't pop up on that list, maybe we'll talk about it. Who knows? But have a happy Thanksgiving. Have a happy weekend. Watch some horror. There's tons of good horror. And we'll see you next time. Bye.